Good morning, Life Point Church. Welcome back for day 3 of our devotion series this week on Not Ashamed, Faithful to the Truth. We cannot be faithful to the truth if we are ashamed of the testimony of what Jesus did for us. You see, the gospel, the good news is the death, the burial, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. But the way that we share that most often is by sharing how it affected our lives. There are a few characters in the Bible that show the faithfulness to the truth like Paul did. In words and in actions, he showed over and over that he was not ashamed of the gospel. Picking up where we left off yesterday, talking about his interaction with King Agrippa that day. He testified in front of King Agrippa. When Paul stood there that day in front of King Agrippa, he knew that King Agrippa was a practicing Jew. King Agrippa actually had an interest in Jewish cultures and Jewish traditions, and Paul made mention of that in the first interaction he had with King Agrippa. One of the first things that he said to him was, I know you're going to understand this. I know that you have gone out of your way to learn about these customs and to learn about the traditions. King Agrippa, when Paul began his speech to him in Acts 26, he could have used that information, coupled it with his charisma and with his charm and with his speech and his many accolades of the past to impress this man with just how good he was. But Paul didn't do that. Instead, if you read through what he said to him, you'll get to the point where he presents to Agrippa his worst moments. In verses 10 and 11, he says, "This is what I did in Jerusalem. On the authority of the chief priests, I put many of the Lord's people in prison. And when they were put to death, I cast my vote against them. Many a time I went from one synagogue to another to have them punished. And I tried to force them to blaspheme. I was so obsessed with persecuting them that I even hunted them down in foreign cities." This is the worst thing, the worst part of Paul's life. Do you think that Paul was looking at this and saying, I'm so proud of this? No. He could have skipped through that part. He could have skipped right to talking about how he traveled all over the world to share the gospel. He could have listed the names of the poor people that he had helped out. He could have totaled and announced all the money he had given to others. But the gospel isn't about our pride. It's about Jesus' love. When someone says to you, "Why are you a Christian?" don't let shame of your past keep you from giving an honest answer. Should we be ashamed of our sin? Yes, it causes us and it leads us to repentance. We are repentant for that life that we lived. But that's not what your testimony is about. Your testimony is about, look what the Lord has done. Don't let shame of who you were keep you from showing just how deep the love of God is. Do you remember the moment that you came to him? You weren't even sure he would want you. The person you are sharing your testimony with feels the same way. Your testimony could be the turning point that assures them that Jesus does love them and want them. If you let yourself be ashamed of where Jesus found you, they may miss the chance to be found too. We cannot let shame keep our mouths closed. You are free. You are forgiven. You have found the way of salvation. Don't let your shame keep you from sharing it with others. Find a way to express just how good God has been to you today. Even if it's just to sit in your bedroom and look in the mirror and remind yourself of where you were and to testify to yourself for a little while. I remember where God found me, and I'm not ashamed that he pulled me out of such a deep pit. Am I sad that I was there? Yes. But look what the Lord has done. That's what the gospel is about. It's about showing how good God is. God bless you today.